All right, it's district breakdown time. It's our playoff edition. We are talking with Jon Poorman from the Houston Chronicle. Jon, we went through all the districts in Houston, and now we're left with one thing to talk about. It's playoff teams and what kind of players you think need to step up in order for these teams to make deep playoff runs. And let's start in the largest classification with 6A. Give me a couple, 2, 3, 6A players that you think need to really ball out come postseason.
Well, I'll just say this to start off. It's hard not to begin with the quarterback position. We all know how important that is, especially when the playoffs roll around. So I'll start with the guy who has plenty of that experience in Caleb Bailey at North Shore. He's going to be a junior this year. He missed most of last season with the torn ACL. So it's going to be really interesting and important for North Shore to see how he comes back. Obviously, they'll probably want to ease him in the non-district part of their schedule and, getting his feet wet and getting him back in that kind of live environment on the field. But, this is a kid who was the offensive MVP of the state championship game as a freshman. And there's not many players who can do something like that. So obviously, after that freshman campaign, there was a lot of hype surrounding him. He started off his sophomore year, slicing and dicing through defenses and playing really well. Obviously, it's unfortunate that he had that injury, but he's going to have some playmakers coming back with him, Christopher Barnes and Dion DeBlanc at receiver, and some good running back talent as well. So expectations are going to be high for him. I believe that under Coach Willie Gaston, who was a North Shore quarterback himself, he's going to be able to develop. Caleb's leadership and ability on the field. And, if North Shore is going to live up to their lofty preseason expectations, being ranked number 13 in the country and number 2 in the state, they're kind of expected to get to Arlington. And so he's going to have Caleb's going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but it's nothing he hasn't faced before. And then, one guy that, everybody is really excited about coming in this year is DJ Lagway, the quarterback up at Willis. He's a senior. They missed the playoffs last year. He had missed a couple games due to injury down the stretch, and they just missed the cut there. But coming back this year, I know there's a lot of optimism coming out of Willis, with Coach Trent Miller entering his second year. They have some offensive weapons around him now. I'm wondering if this is the year that could they not only get into the playoffs, but win a couple games and make some noise. Anytime you have one of the best quarterback recruits in the country, you'd like to think that that'd be the case. He's a really mature kid. He got a really good head on his shoulders, obviously, and the talent is through the roof. So I have big expectations for Lagway, not only during the regular season and trying to compete for the District 13 6A championship, but also getting into the postseason and making some moves there as well.
I agree with those two, man. I'm looking forward to seeing Lagway as well this year. A guy I like to talk about is Lloyd Avant. I've been talking about him a lot. I'm huge on Summer Creek this year, mainly because I know they're going to go Division II, and they like to ride Lloyd Avant. His running game, he finds the holes, he busts them. If they can somehow find a way to make Katy go Division I can see them in a regional final behind Avant. So I think he could step up. And then if we go back to 13-6A, Oak Ridge has a slew of talent that all need to come together here. I know you just tweeted out a couple of weeks ago about Justin Williams signing with Georgia. He's probably the best linebacker in the state and maybe even in the nation. And then they got Frankie Arthur and Joseph Jonah Ajane, who I have trouble saying his names, but he didn't have any trouble getting to the quarterback. If these three guys can step up, maybe Oak Ridge is a team to look out for to go at least 2 or 3 themselves.
Yeah, and I'm, Lloyd Avant, what can you say about this guy? He's one of my favorite players to watch in the Houston area as well. Just a fantastic running back who's been the catalyst for Summer Creek, in this offense. But yeah, I'm bullish on Oak Ridge as well. As you mentioned, they have some really talented players. Frankie Arthur is obviously going to be the leader of that offense, and I would love to see him get the ball, 15, 20, 25 times every game. I think they're, that they're going to lean on him. But, Coach Mark Schmid is a winner. He did that for years and years and years at the Woodlands. We know this. And now he's got a roster that is pretty talented too. So like I said before, I'm bullish on Oak Ridge. And, if some of those guys that you mentioned can really step up, it could be a special year for the War Eagles.
Let's quickly talk a little 5A because we do not have as many districts in 5A down here as other regions do, but talk about maybe a 5A player that you think you could step up and push a Houston area team to 4 or 5 rounds.
I'm definitely looking at Lake Creek and running back Tyvon Byers. I mean, he had what a fantastic sophomore year he had. All Greater Houston, all state, all everything. I mean, this kid rushed for over 2,000 yards, nearly 40 touchdowns on the ground alone. He was really the heartbeat of that offense for Lake Creek under Coach Pat Kennedy, and they had a fantastic season. Obviously, they ran into the Fort Bend Marshall buzzsaw there, I believe, in the 3rd round of the playoffs. But, this is a program that, is coming off a historic season, and they're going to have even higher expectations this year. I guarantee it, and a lot of that has to do with Byers. He's so dynamic. He's a powerful runner. I think he's up over 200 pounds, about, 5'11", 6 foot tall, I think. So, he's going to be definitely a player to watch and see how far, he can take them. Another guy I'm looking at is Jonah Williams down at Galveston Ball. Obviously, they had the great regular seasons, outscored their district opponents 493-7 or something like that. And, unfortunately, they came up short with a 17-7 loss to Magnolia West in the 1st round of the playoffs. So, coming back, I know they're going to be hungry, and Jonah Williams is going to be a big part of that. He's a versatile athlete. He's the reigning district MVP down there. He can play offense, defense, special teams. He's a 5-star safety recruit, so that tells you what kind of player he is in the secondary. He announced this summer that he was going to transfer to IMG Academy down there in Florida, the national powerhouse, but quickly changed his mind on that, and will be staying there at Galveston to, wanting to leave his legacy, I'm sure, with the Tours. So this is a big year for him. He's a junior right now, so he's still got another year left after this, but I know that they want to not only go undefeated in the regular season again, but push further in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see because they won't have that much for battles in the regular season, so we'll have to see how he shines. That's a great answer for this question. Who needs to step up in the playoffs? He's one of them. I'll throw another one out in 5A Division I. Cody Fuentes, the quarterback at Barbers Hill. We all remember 2 years ago how they took down Marshall at their home. At Marshall's home, they ended up winning that game. They don't need an effort like that from Cody to go a couple rounds deep in the postseason, but we will see. Playoffs, we got to get through 11 weeks, right, before we hit the playoffs. So, Jon, I appreciate you joining us this summer, man. We're through the summer. We talked about every district. We talked about playoff participants who need to step up. Now all we got to do is play the games, and that all starts next week. And you can join me and Jon each week. We're going to be talking next level. We'll be talking about specific players throughout the year on the show, which airs next week at 11 o'clock, channel 11, KHOU. Me, Jon. We'll see what's going on, man. I appreciate you joining us this summer, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.